Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be looking at applying filters in your records within Sage 50 accounts. My name's Laura and I'm a learning facilitator here at Sage, and I'm going to be hosting today's webinar, which should take around 15 to 20 minutes. We've also got Michael and Abby on hand today just to answer any questions you may have as well. So before we get started, just some housekeeping rules. So your mic will be muted automatically, but you'll see there's a little question icon on the toolbar where you can submit any questions you may have for Michael and Abby. So just make sure that you pop them into there. And as this is a quick learn session, it's more of a demonstration based, but I will include the slides in the handout section as well, just because there is some links on there at the end which you might find useful. So if you do want to download those, make sure that you do that during the session. There's also a printer friendly version as well if you would like to make any notes. So today I'll be giving you an introduction into using filters within your Sage 50 account software and how this can help you save time. Following that, I'll go through a demonstration within the program and cover some of the most common filters used. I'll also provide some links to the guides on our help centre as well. So if you do want to further your knowledge and have a try just at applying the filters in your records, those might be good to refer to as well. And then at the time, there'll be at the some time just to answer any questions that you may have as well. So filters enable you to narrow down data to only show records you require at that time by making it more manageable and easier to run reports for a specific data set. So you can use a filter to hide records such as customers with a zero balance perhaps, or you may want to show transactions within a specific date range. You may also want to filter and send data to Excel or run a report showing only this data. So this adds flexibility to your reports just by targeting a specific data set there. So what I'll do now is I'll pop into my system. We can have a look at just applying some filters on there within the data and just have a look at which modules you can use that into as well. So we just have a look in here. So we're in customers at the moment, and the filter option just appears here, just along the top. So just underneath your main bar here, we've got this filter option. So a common filter that people may want to use is to hide customers with a zero balance. So if we have a look here, I do have some customers with a zero balance that I would like to hide and just run a customer list for. So if I click on the filter button just here, this will open a filter window, and we've got 4 fields which we can put information into just to apply a filter on there, just to hide those zero balance customers. So they've all got drop downs in them. So if underneath join, I'm going to use the drop down and I'm going to select where. In field, again, there's the drop down option on here which you can use. You can also tab on your keyboard, and I'm just going to hit B for balance because I want to show the balance on there for it. In condition, I'm going to use the drop down again on here, and I want to say is not equal to, and then I'm going to leave it as 0. So one thing to note, at the moment, it's showing all of my records within my customers. When I click apply, and I'm going to apply this filter and then close it, it's now showing 35 of my 42 records. And if we have a look down here, we can see all of my zero balance customers are now hidden from view. So they're not deleted, they're just in the background there. But now what we can do is we can run a report. So if I click on reports in the top right-hand corner, and I've already got my customer list saved in my favorites, and I'm just going to preview that. I'm not going to set any particular criteria for it. Say OK to that. I'll just maximize this so you can see this. So this is now a list of all of my customers that have a balance on there. Just close out of both of those windows. We'll just go back. We can also have a look at reversing that as well. So you can remove the filter just by clicking on this little icon next to the filter button. Remove filter, that takes it off. We've now got all records showing. See my 0 customers. You can toggle it back on again as well. But what I'm going to do now is just have a look. I want to see my customers who have a 0 balance on there. So I'm going to leave all of this the same, and I'm just going to change this to is equal to, just to show you the difference. So at the minute we've got 35 of our 42 records. If I apply that now just to show my 0 balance customers, I now have just 7 showing in there. And you can see they've all got a balance of 0 in there. Again, if I run that report, just in the top right-hand corner, click on reports, And I'm just going to choose my customer list in favorites again. Preview that, just leave it with the same criteria. And you can see now I've got a much shorter list. It's just those 7 customers that have a 0 balance on there. Just if I wanted to use that to send out a mailing shot to them, just so you can see you've got a difference in lists there. But if I close out of that, you can also send the data to Excel as well. So just along here, just next to where we've got reports, just a few along there, if we click on Send to Excel, we'll just give it a moment just to have a little think about it. Let's see, sending it there. And now we've got that data in Excel. So you can manipulate it further if you wanted your data in Excel as well. So that's quite handy to have there too. If I close out of that, I'm not going to save that. We'll just pop back into the software there. And I can clear that filter just to take that off there as well. So it is available in other modules down here as well. So obviously we know it's available in customers. It's in the same location as well. So if we go to quotations, you can see we've got that along the top, just here. Sales orders. So sales orders and purchase orders, that's available if you're using professional variant. It's available in invoice and credits, in suppliers, and it looks the same in every area. So when you click on filter, it's exactly the same window that appears on there as well. You might have different options within field, just depending on sort of the information that you've got within that module. Purchase orders, again, if you're using professional, it's within products and services. You can see here, I've got a filter applied within here because I don't have all of my records showing. It's within our nominal codes, transactions, and then if you're using them, it's within departments as well, charitable funds, and also projects. So it's available in all of those areas of the programme. So if I pop into transactions on here, another common filter that you may want to show are transactions from a certain date range. So hiding older transactions, so you're not looking at data which is years old. So I might want to apply a filter just to show my last financial year up until now. So we can apply a filter for that. So we can see here it's showing all of my records. So I've definitely not got any filters applied. But if I click on filter at the top there, brings up my filter window. And if I click on new again, it'll give that drop down box and I'm going to select where. And then you can also tab along in the fields as well. And like I say, you can either hit D, which will take me down to date, or you can use the drop down box. You can scroll down, select date. And then within here, I'm going to choose the option is greater than or equal to, and I'm going to say the first day of my last financial year, so the 1st of January 2024. Now, if I click apply to that and close it, you can see up here already it's reduced. So I've got 258 of my 1,500 records showing. So we'll pop them in, make sure they're in date order. It starts from the 1st of January 2024. And if I scroll all the way down here to the bottom, I've got data that goes up into my current transaction, which my last transaction was on the 6th of August there. So I've just got the start of last financial year up until now showing in there. You can also build on the filters on there as well. So you may just want to show the last financial year. I might not want any transactions shown from my current financial year. And this is when you can start building on these filters. So if I click back on my filter, so that one's still showing in there, I just click into value. If I hit the tab key on my keyboard, it gives me another line on there. And then in here, I'm going to give the drop down box. You'll notice I've got and or in here now. So I'm going to select and I'm going to choose date. So I'm just going to hit D on my keyboard. It takes me straight down to date. In this field under condition, I'm going to say is less than or equal to. And then I'm going to say the last day of my last financial year. So that's that'll be the 31st of the 12th. I put that in correctly, 2024. So at the moment, I've got 258 records showing. If I apply that, you can see that's reduced down 251. I'm going to close that. Put that in data order on there. Starts on the 1st of January 2024 and it goes down 31st of December 2024. So it gives us just the last financial year on there. You can also pull that down even further if you want to add another line. So say I just wanted to say my bank payments in my last financial year as well. We can also reduce that down again. What I will show you as well first before I have a look at the bank payments though, is that you can also save filters. So if we go into here, say you're going to be applying a filter on and off on there, but you're going to be using other filters as well, you can save the filters. So I've got my filter showing just for my last financial year. If I click on save, and we could put in transactions 2024, and I'm just going to save that, and I'm going to clear the form, apply it. So I've got all my records shown on there. If I wanted to use that again, I can open that up again. So if I just click on open, so I've opened up the filter, I'll just do that again slowly. So if we click on filter at the top, I've got no filter in there. Instead of having to type it in, I can click on open. It opens up where I've saved them to. There's the one I've just saved, transactions 2024. I'm going to click open to that, and there's my filter again. So it just makes it a bit easier. That's also company specific as well. So any other users that are using the same company that are logged on another PC can also access the saved filters and apply them as well, which is quite handy. But if I wanted to build on this again and say I just wanted to show the bank payments like we mentioned before within 2024, if I tab down again for another line, I'm going to choose and again. And this time I'm going to T for transaction, but I need to keep typing down because transaction's not the first one, transaction type that comes up on there. Keep hitting T and it takes me straight down to transaction type. And then I'm going to say is equal to bank payments. Now, obviously in the drop-down box, you can choose other transactions in there. I just want it to show my bank payments at the moment. And I'm going to click apply to that and close it. And now we can see just 15 records are showing. So I've narrowed it down to my last year's transactions, but just the bank payments on there. One call that we do quite often is that somebody's missing data when their colleague can see it in their program. So this can be down to be just a filter being applied on there. So the best way to check is if your colleague's got all 1,500 records and you're thinking, well, where on earth has all my data gone? If yours is saying you've got a number of so many records, you've got a filter applied on there. The quickest way just to double check is hitting just remove filter, and that just removes the filter on there. You can pop it back on again. They're all still there in the background. You can also check by going into filter, clearing the form, applying that. That will also remove the filter as well. So we can now see all the transactions on there as well. Somebody's just asking there, can you delete a saved filter? You can delete a saved filter. So if I click on my filter again, and if I click on open, so the one that we just did before, all we need to do is right click on it, so it's highlighted, click delete, and it removes it. And then just close out with that. That's just deleted it in the background. So there is a way of deleting that if you want to. But have a play around with it in your system. You can't do any harm on there. All you're doing is putting a filter on. So it's just moving them out of the visuals that you've got on there on the screen. You can run reports like we had a look at, sending it to Excel. So you can't do any harm by using that. So I've got Sarah asking, what would I use or for? So we were using and before. So we'll have a look at that in transactions. So if I click on filter again on here. So if we think of it as, if we select and, that must meet all of the filter rules on there. So all the lines that you're putting in, it needs to meet all of those rules. If we choose or, it has to meet either of those rules. So we'll have a look at both of them. What we'll do is we'll see if we can show bank payments as well as bank receipts. So if we say where in the join option, and then within field, I'm going to hit my T on my keyboard on there. Transaction type is equal to bank payment. That was nice and easy. It's just pop them straight in. And then I'm going to choose or, and then we're going to do transaction type is equal to, and then I'm going to choose bank receipt. So what I'm asking it here is to show me any bank receipts and any bank payments. Now, if I click apply to that and close, we can see there's a filter applied. We've got bank payments and we've also got bank receipts in there. So there's another bank receipt there. So we've got them both showing in here. If we go back to the filter, and if I change that to and, what we're then asking it to do is show any transaction types that are bank payments and bank receipts. which you can't get that. You don't have transactions that are both on there. It's one or the other. That's why it works with one or the other. But if I leave it as and, if I apply that, no records are found. And that's because no record is a bank payment and a bank receipt at the same time. Clear that, just apply it. All my transactions come back on there. So we'll pop back onto the slides there. So as we've had a look at, you might want to hide customers with a zero balance. If you've entered where the balance is greater than zero, however, this is going to show anything above zero. So if you have any customers with a negative balance, it's not going to show that in your filtered data. So just as something to consider there if you do want to see any negative balances. You may also want to show data within a specific date range. So perhaps a current financial year, like we've just looked at, or for a VAT return period, perhaps. So here we're asking it to only show the data which is greater than or equal to the first day of my last financial year, and dates which are less than or equal to the last day of my financial year. Another way of filtering the data within transactions is if you just wanted to see which bank payments were made in a certain month, perhaps, which is what we looked at before. So there's many ways in which you can filter the data within the program. You won't break anything or lose anything by having to go yourself. The data is always there in the background. It can always be brought back just by clicking on that clear filter button on there. So it's worth noting that the filter's only applied on your data set as well. So if you apply a filter on your data set to run a report perhaps, or you needed some data in Excel, it won't change anything on a colleague's computer. So if you did want to do that, it's not going to impact anybody else's set of data either. So as promised, I've included some useful links here, so which are just from our help centre, which is full of great articles and step-by-step guides around using Sage 50 accounts. So they include a guide on applying filters, which is great if you want to refer to that while having a go in your own system. If you do want to further your knowledge around filtering the records, I've also included a link to using our wildcard searches as well, which can be helpful when looking for specific data. And you can also access our upcoming webinars and sign up for them, along with viewing our previous recordings on the Help Centre as well, which are all free on there. I've also included a link to our Sage University where you can enrol on courses and just be tested on your knowledge as well. So you'd receive a digital badge for that, and you can share that on things like LinkedIn. You can access our webinars page just at sage.co.uk/webinars. So all the past recordings are, like I say, they're free in there. They're all along there for you to sign up to our upcoming webinars as well. So the link's just on the slide, but I'll pop back into my screen. We'll just have a look at just how to get there as well. So if I just open up a web browser on there, and I'm just going to search for sage.co.uk/webinars. Just OK to that, and it brings me straight to that page that we were having a look at there. You can access Sage University just at the top there as well. This has got all of the webinars to the other things that we have. So we've got payroll in there as well, but we're going to have a look at Sage 50 accounts one. So if we click on here, it'll open up another window, takes us to our webinar page. We scroll down on here, you can view our previous recordings. It's got reams of lists of all of our previous recordings in there if you want to catch up with anything. But currently we're running a badge series for webinars on our report designer. So that's covering 7 topics. These will run throughout September and October, and it'll introduce you to the workings and functionality of the report designer for 50 accounts there as well. And then tomorrow on here, we've also got a quick learn as well. So if we have a look down here, this is tomorrow's on there. We've got a quick learn session on how to enter batch invoices and credits in Sage 50 accounts. So if you haven't already signed up for those, we'd love you to see there as well. If you do have any further questions, I'll just keep this open a little bit longer on there just to see if anything else comes through. Don't forget, if you do want to download a copy of today's slides, just to do that before the session ends, as they're not available once it finishes on there. And it does have those handy links on there as well. But while we finish answering those last few questions, I just want to let you know that Back by Popular Demand is our one-to-one bespoke training session. So these are block hour sessions, which are over Teams, They're with one of our trainers who can provide training and answer your questions around how you want to use your software. So it might be that you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of it, or you may have new starters who just want to get up to speed with using the software. But if this sounds like something that you would find useful, just email us at the address shown on the slide there, and we'd be back in touch with you on there. So the email address is just at the bottom there. It's lsenablement1@365sage.net, and then we'll get back to you with that on there. But that brings us to the end of today's session around applying filters. So I hope that's been helpful for you, and thank you for attending. So you will get a survey when leaving today's session. So I'd love it if you could leave any feedback or comments around what else you'd like to see, or on a webinar perhaps. But you will get a recording of today's session by email as well. So that'll come through in about an hour's time. But thank you again for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your day.